I'm sure you're familiar with the three great clans in Jujutsu Kaisen. Some of the most beloved and overpowered characters belong to these legendary families. They're basically the political and genetic pillars of Jujutsu society. Each clan is famous due to some sort of curse technique that's passed down from one generation to the next. Today, we'll explore an alternate world in which Yuji ends up inheriting all three of these clans' powers. How would these crazy abilities help him in his adventures? Will he even be able to control them? Or would these powers manifest differently inside him? First, let's briefly talk about each clan and their powers. The Gojo clan's identity exists almost entirely around inherited absurd strength. Their identity is tied to the combination of Limitless and Six Eyes. Limitless controls space itself. The user manipulates distance and creates effects like Infinity, which stops attacks before contact. Advanced applications include Blue, which pulls space inward, Red, which violently repels, and Hollow Purple, which erases matter along its path. Six Eyes makes cursed energy usage almost perfect. The most notable member of this clan is Gojo, of course. The Zenin clan is famous because of their inherited Ten Shadows technique. Ten Shadows allows the user to summon Shikigami through shadows and eventually merge and adapt them. The skill ceiling of this technique is ridiculous because users can continue evolving their shadows and reach limits that have never been crossed before. The Kamo clan's signature technique is blood manipulation. Users control their own blood to create projectiles, enhance physical ability, accelerate circulation, and shape blood into weapons. Yuji enters the story with no inherited curse technique and no hidden connection to the great clans. From the moment Yuji eats Sukuna's finger, his body begins changing in ways nobody fully understands. At first, everyone focuses on the obvious part, which is that he can contain Sukuna. Yuji experiences Sukuna's cursed energy repeatedly during battles, injuries, healing, possession, and moments where their consciousness overlaps. Most sorcerers experience another person's cursed energy from the outside. Yuji experiences it internally every day. This theory imagines that prolonged exposure to cursed energy leaves a mark until the user begins to wield that same power. Yuji's altered condition allows him to retain faint impressions of techniques he experiences at close range for long periods of time. The first clan technique Yuji absorbs is Gojo's Limitless, and this happens right after the Shibuya incident, once Gojo has been sealed. This is the first time Yuji truly feels the absence of Gojo. Before Shibuya, there's always a sense that someone stronger exists above everyone else. Even during impossible situations, there's the thought that Gojo can eventually fix things. After the sealing, that feeling disappears. At first, nobody notices anything different because Yuji has already been improving his fighting skills at a rapid pace. He believes the battles in Shibuya forced him to sharpen his reactions. During training, he reaches targets earlier than expected. When sparring, he steps into positions that should require more time. He occasionally throws punches that land while his fist still feels slightly too far away. Someone eventually points out that his curse energy is actually creating distortions in how he perceives and crosses space. That observation scares Yuji because it reminds him of Gojo. Yuji stands in empty rooms and tries to feel where objects exist without touching them. He walks toward walls with his eyes closed. He punches suspended targets while changing the amount of cursed energy in each strike. There are moments when certain directions feel easier to move through. Tiny paths seem to open and close around him. Yuji cannot create them consciously yet, but he learns to recognize them. This special ability becomes Yuji's personal adaptation of Limitless, called Divergent Space. Yuji's technique affects space and time in short bursts during combat, making it seem that his punches and kicks reach their targets a fraction of a second before they're supposed to. His punch still travels and his body still moves. The distance just becomes smaller for an instant. The first real showcase happens during the Chozo rematch. Yuji rushes in and Chozo pushes him back. However, Yuji seems to reach his cover spots just in time. He exits blind spots before Chozo can react, and his punches arrive before Chozo can finish adjusting his aim. After a crushing victory, Yuji realizes that he's inherited a version of Limitless, which feels like a parting gift from Gojo. Yuji is overcome with emotion and decides to perfect this technique in order to release Gojo from his prison. The next clan ability Yuji adopts is Zenin clan's Ten Shadows, and this happens after Sukuna takes Megami's body. When Sukuna leaves Yuji's body, instead of feeling relief and closure, Yuji feels a constant sense of dread, as if something is about to jump at him from the shadows. He blames his grief for all the weird stuff he's experiencing, but deep down he knows that there's something wrong. When Sukuna starts using Ten Shadows, Yuji feels something familiar underneath the technique. In reality, he had already absorbed a part of Megami's powers after spending countless months training together. The final nail in the coffin is seeing Sukuna using Ten Shadows, which finally awakens the beast inside him as well. Yuji dreams of empty spaces connected by darkness. He never sees complete Shikigami. Instead, he sees outlines, claw marks, and their footsteps, shapes moving at the edge of sight. During a sparring session, Yuji notices his shadow moving a fraction later than his body, almost as if it has become an entirely different living thing, attached to him like a parasite. After weeks of experimenting, he realizes he cannot summon creatures the way Megami could. Yuji's strength lies in his physical combat skills, and he incorporates the shadows into it, treating them as an extension of his own body. Shadow fists appear behind his normal strikes and create delayed pressure, hitting the the enemy with another burst of energy after the initial impact. Shadow footholds form underneath his feet for an instant and let him redirect momentum in impossible ways. During close combat, he creates temporary shadow copies that repeat the final motion of an attack before fading away. People who watch him fight describe it as feeling crowded. Yuji still looks like one person, but every movement leaves behind brief fragments that continue acting for a moment. Yuji finally showcases this ability in a brief encounter with Sukuna, who unleashes the full force of 10 shadows, summoning insanely powerful Shikigami. During one exchange, Sukuna disappears into shadow to reposition, only to find that Yuji has followed him into the Forbidden Realm. Sukuna quickly realizes that Yuji has somehow mastered control over the Shadow Realm just like him. He retreats for the time being, since Yuji's unpredictable powers acted as a huge obstacle for Sukuna. Finally, Yuji acquires the Kamo clan's blood manipulation during the final training period. Yuji learns this technique much more quickly than the previous ones, because blood manipulation already matches the way Yuji approaches combat. Kamo recognizes this trait immediately and avoids teaching him conventional blood attacks. Meanwhile, Chozo takes the more aggressive approach, understanding that Yuji can get pretty emotional in the heat of battle and act on his instincts. Kamo focuses on discipline and teaches Yuji to sense blood circulation as part of cursed energy flow. Chozo teaches him to trust his body instead of forcing control. Yuji learns to increase blood flow into specific areas moments before impact. His muscles contract harder and recover faster. Short bursts of reinforced circulation let him explode into movement and stop instantly without losing balance. During the final fight with Sukuna, this reaches completion. Yuji compresses blood through his legs and launches forward repeatedly. Each black flash lands with overwhelming density, and the force builds with every exchange until Sukuna is forced backward. By the end of the story, Yuji becomes an amalgamation of incredible powers possessed by the three great clans. The entire world of Jujutsu firmly believe that power runs in bloodlines and your future is determined by the family you're born into. However, Yuji completely contradicts this concept, having the classic underdog story of becoming a world-class sorcerer. His final form reflects every person who changed him. His version of Limitless ditches the idea that power comes from absolute defense or overwhelming destruction. Instead, Yuji's Limitless revolves entirely around movement, creating pathways and closing distances that should not exist. Megami's 10 Shadows originally carried themes of burden, sacrifice, and accepting isolation. Yuji's version reflects his internal struggles with committing to fights, and his kindness in the heat of battle. 10 Shadows challenges him, only working when Yuji fully commits to a punch, adding extra power to it. Yuji learns the perfect balance between having sympathy for his enemies while also protecting his friends and working for the greater good of the world. Finally, blood manipulation completes the structure because it changes how Yuji exists physically. He develops control over circulation and recovery, and learns to adapt his body according to the intensity of the battle, increasing his endurance by quite a lot. After the final battle, people try to classify him. Some call him a successor to the clans. Others think Sukuna changed him permanently. However, Yuji completely rejects these theories, refusing to join any of the clans that desperately want their name next to his. He does not believe in the power system set up by these clans, and reinforces the fact that true power can always be learned and adopted, and that it does not have to run in one's blood. I hope you had a fun time diving deep into this alternate reality where Yuji adopts the techniques of the three great clans in Jujutsu Kaisen. Let me know if you have any ideas of other powers Yuji can adopt, and what his version would look like. If you'd like to watch similar videos, make sure to click on the link that's appearing on your screen. Go ahead, click it!